Hey guys, tonight we're sinking into a tale of betrayal and sweet, sweet revenge, where a family's dirty secrets get aired out like laundry nobody wanted to claim. Picture yourself standing in a dusty attic, the kind that smells like old books and forgotten promises, as you stumble across a locked box that changes everything. It's a story about a kid who got shafted by his own blood. But trust me, you probably won't survive the satisfaction of how he flips the script. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and the local time. I'm curious where you're chilling tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're kneeling in that attic, the floorboards creaking under your weight, when you pry open a rusted lockbox. Inside, there's a stack of yellowed papers, and your heart skips as you read. A college fund set up decades ago by your late grandfather, meant for your son, Ethan. The numbers are staggering, enough to cover tuition, books, maybe even a dorm with a view. But there's a catch. The fund's controlled by your aunts and uncles, the kind of relatives who show up to Thanksgiving with store-bought pie and unsolicited opinions. You clutch the papers, a mix of hope and dread bubbling in your gut. Ethan's a junior in high school, his eyes always glued to physics textbooks, dreaming of MIT. This fund could make it real. You call a family meeting, driving to your aunt's house where the air smells like burnt coffee and regret. The relatives sit around a chipped oak table, their faces a gallery of smirks and side eyes. You lay out the papers, expecting cheers, but Aunt Linda snorts, "Ethan? He's not that special." Uncle Carl, who once tried to sell you a timeshare, says the fund's better used elsewhere. Historians still argue whether family loyalty peaked in the 1950s or was always a myth, but in 1969, the U.S. passed laws making trust funds trickier to redirect, yet your relatives seem to know every loophole. You learn a quirky tidbit. In some old English estates, families hid funds in secret rooms to dodge taxes, much like your kin's sneaky vibes now. You leave, papers crumpled, your trust in family as dead as a doornail. Ethan's waiting at home, his lanky frame slouched over a laptop. You tell him the truth, expecting tears, but his jaw tightens. "They think I'm nothing," he says, voice low. You see a spark in his eyes like a rocket prepping for launch. He doesn't cry, he plots. You're proud but uneasy. Revenge is a dish best served cold, but what's Ethan cooking? You joke to lighten the mood. "Guess we're not getting that family reunion cruise now, huh?" He doesn't laugh. Instead, he grabs his notebook, scribbling something you can't read. The attic discovery feels like yesterday's news already. Ethan's mind is racing toward a future you can't yet see. You're still reeling from that family meeting. The sting of your relative's words like a paper cut that won't stop throbbing. You're driving home, the radio droning some pop song about heartbreak, and you can't help but feel it fits. Ethan's face keeps flashing in your mind, his quiet fury when you told him the college fund was a no-go. You pull into the driveway, the gravel crunching like the sound of your patience wearing thin. Inside, Ethan's already back at his desk, his room a mess of graph paper and energy drink cans. You want to hug him, but he's got that "don't bother me" vibe, so you lean against the doorframe, watching him scribble equations like he's decoding the universe. You try talking, but he cuts you off. "They think I can't make it." He says, not looking up. Aunt Linda's voice echoes in your head. Her snide, "He's not that special," still burns. You confront the relatives again, this time over a tense Zoom call. Their faces pixelated, but their attitudes crystal clear. Uncle Carl, with his comb-over and fake concern, says, "We're just being practical." Practical? You bite your tongue. So hard you taste copper. They're redirecting the fund to family investments, whatever that means. Probably Carl's latest get-rich-quick scheme. You argue, but they stonewall you, their voices a chorus of entitlement. In 1973, the U.S. tightened regulations on trust fund mismanagement, but loopholes still let families like yours play dirty. Historians still debate whether fiduciary duty laws ever truly protected beneficiaries or just padded lawyers' pockets. You Hang up, defeated, and notice Ethan eavesdropping from the hallway. His eyes are sharp, like he's memorizing every word. You try joking, well, at least we're not stuck in their pyramid scheme, right? He doesn't smile. Instead, he mutters, they'll see. A quirky fact pops into your mind. In medieval Europe, scorned heirs sometimes forged documents to reclaim inheritances. A risky move Ethan's too honest for. But his intensity makes you wonder. You ask what he's planning, but he just says, trust me. That's when you notice his laptop screen. Applications for scholarships, internships, even a coding boot camp. He's not waiting for handouts. He's building his own ladder. You lie awake that night. The fans hum, doing little to cool your racing thoughts. Ethan's determination is inspiring, but it's also scary, like watching a kid juggle knives. You remember a story from your own childhood, how your mom once said family's supposed to lift you up, not kick you down. You laugh softly to yourself, thinking, guess mom never met Aunt Linda. Ethan's not sleeping either. You hear the faint click of his keyboard through the wall. He's waging a silent war against the relative's betrayal, and you're his only ally. You whisper a promise to the dark. You'll back him, no matter what. The rejections lit a fire in him, and you're starting to believe he'll burn. Brighter than anyone expected. You're sitting at the kitchen table, the morning sun slicing through the blinds, casting stripes across Ethan's physics textbook. He's hunched over it, his pencil scratching furiously, like he's trying to solve the meaning of life before breakfast. You sip your coffee, now cold, and watch him, this kid who's taken the family's betrayal and turned it into fuel. You're proud, but there's a knot in your stomach. Ethan's not just studying, he's scheming, and you're not sure you're ready for what's coming. His room's become a war zone of sticky notes and flowcharts, each one a piece of a plan he won't fully share. You ask, you okay, kid? He nods, barely looking up, and says, I'm gonna make them eat their words. You think back to the relatives' smug faces on that Zoom call, their dismissal of Ethan's potential like a slap. It's lit something in him, a quiet resolve that's almost eerie. He's applied to every scholarship under the sun, from local Rotary clubs to national STEM grants. He's teaching himself to code, staying up past midnight watching tutorials. You catch him emailing a professor at Caltech, asking about research opportunities. Bold move for a high schooler. In 1983, the U.S. expanded Pell Grants to help kids like Ethan, but the system's still a maze, and he's navigating it alone. Historians still argue whether merit-based aid levels the playing field or just rewards the already advantaged. You notice a quirky detail on his desk, a tiny Rubik's. To be solved with a post-it that says their logic she scrambled. It's his weird way of mocking the relative's greed, and you chuckle, thinking, kid's got a flair for drama. You try lightening the mood, joking, what's next? Hacking their bank accounts. He smirks but doesn't answer, his focus unbreakable. You're starting to see the shape of his plan, not revenge in a petty way, but something bigger, something that'll hit the family where it hurts, their pride. He's aiming to outshine them, to prove he didn't need their precious fund. You drive him to a scholarship interview, the car radio humming some old rock tune. He's in a thrift store blazer, looking like a kid playing dress-up, but his confidence is pure steel. You wait in the parking lot, scrolling your phone, and stumble across a forum post about quiet quitting in families, people cutting off toxic kin without a word. Ethan's not quitting, though. He's fighting, just on his terms. You glance. At him as he walks out, his face unreadable. How'd it go, you ask. He just says, step one. You don't push, but the knot in your stomach tightens. Whatever he's cooking up, it's gaining momentum, and you're along for the ride. You're sprawled on the couch, the TV flickering with some mindless reality show, but your eyes keep drifting to Ethan across the room. He's got his laptop, balanced on his knees, headphones on, typing like the world depends on it. The past year has been a blur of his hustle, late nights, rejected applications, and small wins that keep him going. You're amazed at his grit, but it's like watching a tightrope walker. One slip could hurt. His desk is a chaos of scholarship letters and a dog-eared book on game theory, which he says explains people like Aunt Linda. You're not sure if he's joking, but the fire in his eyes says he's deadly serious. Ethan's been stacking skills like a gamer grinding for XP. He's landed a part-time gig tutoring math, won a regional coding contest, and even built an app that tracks scholarship deadlines. Ironic, given the family fund he was denied. You've seen him falter, like when a big STEM grant went to someone else, but he just shrugs and dives back in. In 1998, the US boosted funding for STEM education. Yet kids from modest backgrounds like Ethan still face uphill battles. Historians still debate whether these programs bridge opportunity gaps or mostly pad elite resumes. You catch a quirky tidbit on Ethan's screen. In the 1800s, some inventors faked credentials to get funding, a hustle Ethan's too principled for, but his resourcefulness feels like a nod to that era. You try to lighten the mood, tossing a pillow at him and saying, "You planning to code their faces onto a Loser of the Year app?" He snorts, a rare laugh, and mutters, "Tempting." But his focus snaps back to his screen, where he's drafting an essay for a national scholarship. You've read his work, sharp, personal, with a subtle jab at family values that makes you grin. He's not just working hard, he's crafting a narrative, one that'll hit the relatives like a freight train. You remember that attic lockbox, the papers that started this mess, and wonder if Ethan's planning to wave his success in their faces. You're at the grocery store later, picking up Ethan's favorite energy drinks, when you overhear two moms gossiping about entitled kids who expect handouts. You bite back a laugh, thinking of Ethan's relentless grind. Entitled, "My foot." Back home, you hand him the drinks, and he mumbles a thanks, already lost in a coding problem. His graduation's looming, a year away, and you feel the weight of his plan building, like a storm gathering strength. You're his cheerleader, his driver, his late-night snack maker, but he's the one steering this ship. You whisper to yourself, "Kid's gonna make history," and for the first time, you believe it without a shred of doubt. You're in the car, the dashboard clock ticking toward Ethan's senior year, the air thick with the scent of fast food, fries you grabbed for the ride. Graduation's on the horizon, and Ethan's plan, whatever it is, feels like it's about to crack open like a piñata. He's next to you, scrolling through his phone, muttering about a scholarship essay he's tweaking. His face is all sharp angles now, the baby fat gone, replaced by a quiet intensity that makes you both proud and nervous. You've watched him grind for years, turning the family's betrayal into rocket fuel. But now the launch is near, and you're wondering if you're ready for the blast. Ethan's been racking up wins, a full-ride scholarship offer from a state university, a summer internship at a tech startup, and a nod from a national science fair for his AI project. He's not just surviving, he's thriving, and you know it's no accident. He's been strategic, picking opportunities that scream, "Look at me," to the relatives who wrote him off. You remember Aunt Linda's sneer, and it makes you grin to think how she'd choke on her coffee seeing Ethan now. In 2001, the No. Child Left Behind Act aimed to boost education equity, but kids like Ethan still have to claw their way up. Historians still argue whether such policies empowered students or just buried them in red tape. You catch a quirky detail on Ethan's phone, a meme about family curses that he's saved, with a caption, "Guess I'm breaking this one." You chuckle, tossing out, "What, you gonna hex Uncle Carl's timeshares?" Ethan smirks, saying, "Better ideas." He's cagey about graduation, dropping hints about a big moment but no details. You're dying to know but pushing. Feels like jinxing it, so you let him steer. His laptop's open later, showing a draft of his valedictorian speech. Yep, he clinched that too. The title, "What Family Means." Oh, this is gonna be good. You're at home, the fan humming as you fold laundry, when Ethan calls you over. He shows you a letter from MIT. Not an acceptance, but an invite to a symposium for top applicants. You whoop and he grins, a rare crack in his focus. The relatives don't know yet, but you can already picture their faces when they hear. You think back to that attic lockbox, the spark that lit this fire, and realize Ethan's not just chasing success. He's crafting a moment to make them regret. You whisper to the fan's hum, Kids playing chess while they're stuck on checkers. And the thought feels like a warm blanket. You're standing in the kitchen, the fridge humming as you chop carrots for dinner. But your mind's on Ethan. Graduation's a week away and the air feels charged like the moment before a thunderstorm. Ethan's across the house, practicing his valedictorian speech in his room, his voice a low murmur through the walls. You've caught snippets, sharp, poised, with an edge that makes your skin tingle. He's been a vault about the details, but you know it's tied to the relatives, that college fund they snatched from him. You're itching to see their faces when he drops whatever bomb he's been building for years. The relatives are coming, of course. Aunt Linda called yesterday, her voice syrupy with fake pride, saying they wouldn't miss Ethan's big day. You nearly gagged, picturing her crocodile tears. Remember that sunscreen-using crocodile you joked about? Same energy. Uncle Carl's tagging along, probably to pitch another shady investment. They think they're walking into a victory lap. Chance to pat Ethan's head and act like they didn't screw him over. In 2008, the U.S. financial crisis exposed how families sometimes hoard wealth to protect it, much like your kin's fund grab. Historians still debate whether such moves stem from greed or misguided duty. You spot a quirky tidbit on Ethan's desk, a printed article about 19th century revenge letters, published in newspapers to shame betrayers. Ethan's too modern for that, but his speech feels like it's channeling the same vibe. You try, joking to ease the tension, shouting, "You spiking their punch with truth serum at the ceremony?" Ethan pokes his head out, grinning. Nah, just words. His calm scares you a little. It's the quiet of a chess master before checkmate. You've seen his prep. He's polished every syllable, timed every pause. He's also invited local press to the graduation, claiming it's for school spirit. Yeah, right. You're folding towels later when you overhear him on a call, confirming a special guest for the event. Who? He won't say. Your stomach flips, but you trust him. Like you trusted him back when he was scribbling plans in that attic's shadow. You're at the school the next day, helping set up chairs for the ceremony, the gym smelling like wax and anticipation. Ethan's there, charming the principal, looking every bit the golden boy. You catch him glancing at the stage, a flicker of something fierce in his eyes. The relative's arrival looms, and you can't help but smirk, thinking of their smug faces about to crack. You murmur to yourself, they're walking into a trap and it's gonna be glorious. The fans' hum back home feels like it's counting down to the moment Ethan makes them regret. You're in the school gym, the air buzzing with chatter and the faint squeak of folding chairs as families settle in for graduation. The stage is draped in blue and gold, Ethan's school colors, and you're in the third row clutching a program with his name in bold. Ethan James, valedictorian. Your heart's doing somersaults, not just from pride but from the weight of what's coming. Ethan's speech is moments away and you know it's no ordinary address. He's been crafting this for years, a verbal grenade aimed at the relatives who denied him that college fund. You scan the crowd and spot them. Aunt Linda in a garish floral dress, Uncle Carl adjusting his tie like he's at a business pitch. They're all smiles, oblivious to the storm Ethan's about to unleash. You fidget, the program crinkling in your hands. Ethan's been tight-lipped, but you've seen his rehearsals, the way he paces with purpose like a lawyer prepping for a courtroom kill. He's on stage now, shaking the principal's hand, his thrift store blazer somehow looking sharper than ever. The crowd hushes as he steps to the podium, and you swear the gym's air thickens. "Good evening," he starts, voice steady, and you lean forward, pulse racing. In 2010, U.S. commencement speeches began trending toward raw honesty, with grads calling out social wrongs. Ethan's clearly taken notes. Historians still debate whether such speeches spark change or just fleeting applause. A quirky tidbit floats to mind. In the 1920s, some grads read shaming poems to settle scores. Ethan's no poet, but his words feel like they'll cut just as deep. He begins with gratitude, then pivots. "Family's supposed to lift you up," he says, pausing, eyes locking on the relative's brow. You see Aunt Linda shift, her smile faltering. Ethan tells the crowd about the fund, Grandpa's gift meant for his education, redirected by kin who thought he wasn't worth it. Gasps ripple through the gym. He names no names but paints the betrayal vivid. They bet against me. You're gripping your seat, half thrilled, half terrified. The relatives are frozen, Carl's face red as a tomato. You want to cheer but whisper instead, kids dropping truth bombs. Ethan's not done. He lists his scholarships, his MIT symposium invite, each win a slap to their greed. The crowd's eating it up and you're grinning so hard it hurts. You glance at the relatives again, their smugness gone, replaced by squirming shame. Ethan's speech isn't just a roast, it's a public unmasking, and you're living for it. You think back to that attic lockbox, the spark that lit this fire, and realize he's turned their betrayal into his spotlight. You murmur, "Checkmate, kid," as the gym lights seem to burn brighter on his triumph. You're still in the gym, the echo of Ethan's speech hanging in the air like smoke after a firework. The crowd's buzzing, a mix of whispers and outright gasps, as Ethan stands tall at the podium, his eyes scanning the room with a calm that's almost unnerving. You're gripping the edge of your chair, heart pounding, as the weight of his words sinks in. He just laid bare the family's betrayal, Grandpa's college fund, stolen by Aunt Linda and Uncle Carl's greed, without ever pointing fingers directly. It's masterful, like a painter leaving just enough blank space for the audience to fill in. You glance at the relatives and, oh, it's glorious. Linda's clutching her purse like it's a life raft. Carl's face a shade of purple you'd call humiliated beat. The crowd shifts, heads turning toward the relatives' row. And you feel the room's energy tilt. People are murmuring, some pointing, others shaking their heads. Ethan's not done, though. He pivots to his journey. Scholarships, late nights, the app he built from scratch, and each achievement lands like a dart. I didn't need their money, he says, voice steady. I needed their belief. The gym erupts in applause, and you're clapping too, tears pricking your eyes. In 2015, viral graduation speeches started reshaping public discourse, amplifying young voices online. Historians still debate whether these moments drive lasting accountability or just fleeting outrage. A quirky tidbit. In old Scottish clans, public shaming at gatherings was a legit way to settle disputes. Ethan's channeling that vibe, modern style. You catch a woman in the row ahead whispering to her husband, "Did you hear that?" His own family. The local press Ethan invited is scribbling furiously, and you know this'll hit the town paper, maybe even social media. You lean back, muttering, "Kids got their number, just like that crocodile with sunscreen." The relatives are shrinking, in their seats avoiding eye contact, and you're soaking in every second of their discomfort. Ethan wraps his speech with a call to build your own future, and the crowd roars, giving him a standing ovation. You're on your feet, grinning like a kid at a candy store. As Ethan steps off the stage, you see Linda try to slip out early, but a neighbor corners her, asking pointed questions. You chuckle softly, thinking, no escape now, Linda. The gym's alive with chatter, and you feel the tide turning. Ethan's not just won. He's rewritten the narrative. You think back to his quiet resolve in that attic's shadow, and now here he is, a star burning bright enough to eclipse their shame. You're still in the gym, the applause for Ethan's speech fading into a hum of excited chatter, like bees in a hive that just got shaken. Ethan's off the stage now, swarmed by classmates and teachers slapping his back, their faces lit with admiration. You're standing near the aisle, program crumpled in your fist, watching the relatives squirm like they're sitting on hot coals. Aunt Linda's trying to fake a smile, but it's wobbling, and Uncle Carl's muttering to his wife, probably plotting a quick exit. You're savoring it. Their regret is so thick you could spread it on toast. Ethan's speech didn't just call them out. It turned the whole room against them, and you're practically giddy. You weave through the crowd, catching snippets of conversation. Can you believe his family did that? And that kid's going places. The air smells like cheap perfume and victory. And you spot Ethan near the stage, shaking hands with a reporter. He invited the press, remember? Smart move. His words are already rippling beyond this gym. And you bet tomorrow's headlines will sting. In 2017, social media began amplifying local stories into national debates, giving kids like Ethan a megaphone. Historians still argue whether this democratizes justice or just fuels mob mentality. A quirky tidbit. In colonial America, public pillory punishments shamed wrongdoers in town squares. Ethan's speech feels like a digital age version, no stocks required. You sidle up to Ethan whispering, "You just dropped a nuke, kid." He grins, a little sheepish, and says, "They earned it." You notice Linda approaching, her face a mask of forced cheer. But before she can speak, a teacher intercepts, gushing about Ethan's future. Linda slinks away and you mutter, "Guess her crocodile tears need more sunscreen." The crowd's still buzzing and you feel the weight of Ethan's triumph settling in. Not just a win, but a reckoning. He's proven he's more than their betrayal, and you're bursting with pride. You think back to that attic lockbox, the papers that sparked this saga. Ethan's turned that pain into power, and the relatives' regret is his trophy. You glance at them one last time, their heads bowed in defeat, and whisper to yourself, "They'll never live this down." The gym's lights seem to shine just for Ethan, and you know this moment's only the beginning. You're outside the gym now, the evening air cool against your skin, carrying the faint scent of cut grass and summer promise. The graduation crowd spills onto the lawn, laughter and camera flashes punctuating the dusk. Ethan's a few steps ahead, his cap slightly askew, fielding congratulations from neighbors and classmates. You're trailing behind, your chest tight with a cocktail of pride and awe. His speech, that glorious takedown of Aunt Linda and Uncle Carl, still echoes in your mind, each word a spark that lit the relatives' smugness ablaze. You glance back and see them lingering by the gym doors, their faces drawn, avoiding the crowd's curious stares. They're not just defeated, they're exposed, and you're relishing every second of their squirming regret. Ethan turns, catching your eye, and gives a small nod, like he's saying, "We did it." You nod back, thinking of the years he poured into this moment. Scholarships, late nights, that app he coded to spite their doubts. In 2020, youth activism surged globally, with kids using platforms to call out injustice. Just like Ethan's speech turned a small-town stage into a tribunal, historians still debate whether such public reckonings heal wounds or deepen divides. A quirky tidbit: in ancient Rome, orators sometimes shamed rivals in public forums, a tactic Ethan's modern twist has perfected. You chuckle, murmuring, "Kid's a gladiator with a microphone. Their regret is his crown, and you're here for it." You join Ethan on the lawn, the crowd thinning as families head to cars. "You good?" you ask. He smiles, softer now, and says, "Better than good." The relatives slink past, Linda muttering something about misunderstandings, but no one's buying it. You whisper, "Guess Carl's timeshares won't save them now." And Ethan snorts. His future's due. Bright, MIT's symposium, a full ride, a story that'll outlive this night. You think back to that attic lockbox, the betrayal that started it all, and realize Ethan's not just won. He's rewritten the family's legacy. As the stars peek out, you feel the moment settle, heavy and sweet. Ethan's triumph is yours. 2. A shared victory over those who tried to dim his light. You're ready to drive home, the fans hum waiting to lull you both into dreams of what's next. The night wraps around you like a soft blanket, the world slowing as you and Ethan climb into the car. The engine hums, a gentle rhythm, and you glance at him, his face bathed in the dashboard's glow, eyes fixed on some distant horizon. This isn't just the end of a chapter, it's the start of something vast, a path he's carved through sheer will. The relatives' regret will fade into whispers, but Ethan's story, his grit, his fire, will burn bright in your heart. You drive through quiet streets, the town asleep, and feel a calm settle deep in your bones. He's made it, against all odds, and you're here to witness the dawn of his dreams. Let the fan hum softly tonight. Let the stars keep watch. Sleep easy, knowing justice found its mark.